Hi everybody, today I'm going to be doing a 1,000 mile ride review of the 2021 CRF450RL. I'm also going to be kind of answering some of the questions of who is this bike for, what is it designed to do, and some of the common questions that I see on the... So let me start by answering why I bought this bike in the first place. Last summer I had a 2007 CRF450R. I loved that bike. I've been riding for 20 years. That bike was just everything I wanted. I got it for really cheap. I mean, that was before the coronavirus big boom of motorcycle sales and prices skyrocketing, but unfortunately that bike got stolen in November. So I'll be honest, I wasn't exactly looking for a new bike until that bike got stolen, sadly. So what I want to do now is just kind of talk about some of my personal mods I did on this bike to kind of get it where I wanted it to be from the factory. As you would imagine, this bike comes pretty choked up when you buy it because it has to meet the law for all 50 states. Some are a lot more strict than others, so they have to comply to the strictest of the 50. So that being said, this bike comes standard with an exhaust that has a catalytic converter. It's very heavy. I think online I saw it was almost 18 pounds, the full system. So the first thing I did was I upgraded to the Yoshimura full RS4 exhaust, as you can see here. I've had nothing but good things to say about it. It's the perfect amount of loudness without being obnoxious, and it just does everything the stock pipe should have done. Under the seat, I have I don't think you can see it, but I have the Vortex ECU, another known must for the CRF450L. You pretty much have to do it if you want to unlock the power in this bike. I have not done any of the smog deletes yet. That's probably the next step. Another necessary must from the factory is definitely tires. What I decided to go with is the Kenda Trackmaster 2. These ones have about 800 miles on them, and they've done everything I've asked them to do. They're actually a great tire. Even though they're DOT approved, they're exceptional off-road, which is what I do most of my riding. Here I have the stock, I think they're IRCs. Compared to the Kendas with 800 miles on them, there's honestly no comparison. So yeah, I would definitely suggest going with a tire upgrade as soon as possible. I have full wrap handguards, just because I do a lot of woods riding in New England. That usually entails trees, and it also protects all my levers from being broken off if I drop the bike. Luckily that hasn't happened too many times. Not yet, at least. Two more modifications I did to this bike is I replaced the stock radiator loops, I think that's what they're called, with these Flatland Racing aluminum guards, which protect the front and the sides. As you can see, there's a bracket right here that attaches to the frame. That's going to protect from any anytime you drop the bike or any stick that's impacting it perpendicularly. Another thing I did was this Moose Racing skid plate. The stock one is pretty good for stock, I can't complain, but I wanted something that had the full linkage covering, as you can see here. So if you're going over rocks or trees, you don't have to worry about messing your linkage up. So another kind of popular thing I see with the CRF450Ls and RLs is converting them for supermoto use. I actually grabbed a pair of Warp 9 rims in February just to kind of have them for if and when I do go street riding. I can take 30 minutes, swap them out with the dirt wheels, and kind of just have a good time hooning around town. I would suggest them if you are just planning on doing street riding, because the knobbies pretty much are useless on the road compared to these. I want to talk about who should buy this bike? That's actually a really good question. I was wondering it myself before I bought it. I see it commonly online. Just kind of, people don't really understand who this bike was built for. And Honda doesn't exactly go out of their way to explain it. So I'm just going to give you my best interpretation of who this bike is designed for, from my personal experience. The biggest thing about this bike is, of course, it's street legal. That means you don't need a truck to get it where you want it to go, to get somewhere legal to ride it. And that's huge around here and a lot of areas of the country where, you know, there isn't a lot of wilderness, so to say. So when you do go trail riding, you can kind of get in and out of hairy situations, I guess you could say, or a lot of times when people see that there is a plate on the back of your bike, they're most likely going to leave you alone because, you know, it's legal, especially on the road. So that's a big thing. So I would say the second biggest thing about this bike is I came from 20 years of strictly off-road riding. That's all I've ever had. I've had 5 dirt bikes. I'm 24 years old now. But I do like to have the ability to get on the road if I need to. A few of my friends have street bikes, you know, and everybody likes to ride with everybody. That's kind of a common thing with dirt biking and motorcycling in general, is just kind of the community behind it. And having the ability to just, you know, get on the road when I want or ride with other people, it doesn't really matter. That's huge for me, and that's another reason why I have the Supermoto wheels. So whenever that situation does happen, I can throw these on there and go out and have a good time. So the third reason I would say you should buy this bike is kind of the platform it gives you. You can take this bike any route you want it to go. Do you want it to be a supermoto? Do you want it to be a light adventure bike? Do you want it to be a trail bike? A light dual sport? Like, you could do anything you want, and it's all up to you. The community online has been fantastic. They answer pretty much any question you have about it. You can just Google it. There's going to be a forum, whether it's on Thumper Talk or Reddit. I've found pretty much every question I've ever had about this bike is online, and people are willing to answer it. There's tons of different builds that you can follow. What I kind of went with is a trail bike build. That's primarily the kind of riding I do, mostly trails, so that's why I went with this kind of build. But like I said, I've seen people put cases on these, go full supermoto, lower it. It's just a fantastic platform for anybody, and that definitely justifies the price range of this bike. So is this bike worth it? You know, this is a hard question because you have the new CRF450RL and the Kawasaki KLX300. I mean, they're half the price almost of this bike. I think they're a little under $6,000 each. I know the Honda's a little bit cheaper, but this bike's over 10 grand. I mean, when you get it out the door after taxes and dealer fees, everything like that, it's expensive. It's almost over 11 grand once you get it. And you know, that price is intimidating, and I think that's why this bike is not really caught on. Is people who are typically going the dual sport route, they want something that has longer maintenance intervals, it's a little bit cheaper, a little bit easier to ride on the road. This bike is neither of those things. It's not the most comfortable on the road. The maintenance intervals are that of a high performance dirt bike. I mean, I change the oil every 10 hours. I have an hour meter on this thing. I don't even go by the miles anymore, just because I do mostly off-road riding. Yeah, and it's just for if you're just trying to get on some light trails or hop around town, have a good time. I would suggest going with the Suzuki 400s or the new 300s that are out, and save yourself some money and spend the extra, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 on aftermarket parts if you want, or you could literally buy another dirt bike for the price that I just bought one for. You know, and that's kind of a downside of this bike, is just it is pricey for what it is. This bike is like the first of from the Japanese market to kind of offer that high performance dual sport package that isn't a total dud like some of those smaller CCs such as the 250L, which is a good bike, but it doesn't have the capability that something like this would town, have a good time. I would suggest going with the Suzuki 400s or the new 300s that are out, and save yourself some money and spend the extra, I don't know, $4,000 or $5,000 on aftermarket parts if you want, or you could literally buy another dirt bike for the price that I just bought one for. You know, and that's kind of a downside of this bike, is just it is. So I hope you guys enjoyed this review of the CRF450RL. If you have any questions, make sure to leave a comment. I'm happy to answer any. And if you like this video, just hit the like button. Thank you.